Welcome back to part 2 of my Everyday Glam series, or at least that's what I'm calling it. Last year I uploaded my Everyday Glam look with just drugstore products, so now I'm going to be using all high-end fancy schmancy products. Starting here with my primer, which is called a Radiance Activator from Estee Edit, R.I.P. The brand I don't think exists anymore. They've been clearing out all their products. It was supposed to be the kind of youth-oriented arm of Estee Lauder. I actually kind of liked a lot of the products I tried from them, so I'm trying to snatch them up in the clearance aisle. And what you're seeing now is I've dotted my foundation all over my face. This has become one of my all-time favorite foundations. It is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation in the shade 3. It took me a long time to find the correct shade for me. Lots of trips to the Holt Renfrew makeup counter to get as many free samples as I could. I just didn't want to commit to buying it for so long because it's so expensive. It's like $60 or $70. But once I did find my shade, I splurged after years of wanting to try it, and I was so disappointed at first. I could not get this foundation to work on my skin whatsoever. Every time I tried it, it looked horrible. It was not luminous, it was like not covering, it was sticking to dry patches, which you wouldn't think it would because it's a luminous foundation. But then I tried using it with a damp beauty blender or any kind of damp makeup sponge, and it worked, and I love it. It makes my skin look like skin, but it covers up the redness that I have on my chin and cheeks, and now I love to use it whenever I want to look expansive. Yeah, so it didn't work for me with my fingers or foundation brush, but a damp sponge works great. Doing my eyebrows now. You've seen me use this product a bunch now in videos, but it's the Uemura Hard Formula 9 in Seal Brown. Pencil is about $30, which is a lot for a single pencil, but I swear it has already lasted me a few years. It's so huge, and I expect it'll last most of my lifetime. And once I fill in my brows, I'm setting them with the Glossier Boy Brow in the shade Blond. This, I think, as I mentioned in my Glossier overview video, is the best bang for your buck from that brand. And yeah, I think it's $20, which is still a lot for just an eyebrow gel, but it does the job. Moving on now to eyes, I'm doing something I like to do a lot, which is put a cream eyeshadow all over my eyes as a base, before then blending it out further and adding some details with powder eyeshadow. This is a Nars stick shadow in a kind of bronzy coppery color, and I got this eyeshadow in a buns trade, so it technically didn't cost me anything, which is great. And speaking of buns, I ended up getting a Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk in my shade on buns as well. Whoops, I forgot to put on lip balm, so I'm doing that now. And in the spirit of the video, I'm using one of my fanciest lip balms. That's the Dior Creme de Rose lip balm. It's not the best lip balm in the world, and it's very expensive, but it smells really nice and it makes you feel good about yourself. So I'm blending the edges of that cream eyeshadow out with a MAC 217 brush and the darkest shade in the Charlotte Tilbury Dolce Vita palette. And no, I didn't buy this just because my name is Vita. In fact, I didn't buy it. I also got this in a buns trade, and yeah, I traded the Gwen Stefani Urban Decay eyeshadow palette for this one, and I've gotten actually a lot more use out of this one than I did that palette. So I'm taking the shade again and just kind of smoking out my bottom lash and just deepening and defining the crease a bit more. I don't use this palette or the shades within it equally, which is the case for most palettes, but I'd say I use this shade and the lightest shade the most. Now I'm putting on some Clarins Instant Concealer. This is one of my all-time favorite concealers. It is quite moisturizing and creamy, but still full coverage, which you don't find too often. This is the lightest shade, shade 1. It's kind of peachy and salmon-y, so I wouldn't use it for blemishes, but I like it under the eye and to do some highlighting. This was yet another Samantha Chapman inspired Pixie Woo purchase, and I love it. It's great. I use it all the time, and it lasts for forever, really. I use it often, and I've only bought my second one recently after a few years. Going over that with my beauty blender, it mostly blended well with my finger, but just to get those edges clean, I'll go back over it. And just covering up a little bit of the redness that is shown through on my chin. This foundation is what I'd call probably a light medium coverage. It's just like a very natural coverage. Okay, so for blush, I'm using a cream blush, which is sadly discontinued from Estee Lauder. I have just like a little bit left in the pan, which is pretty sad to me. Goes on really nice with your fingers, and it's just a subtle shimmery pink. So I'm almost done with my complexion. I will take a teeny bit of powder under my under eyes, because as I mentioned, it's a very creamy concealer. So this is another Clarins product, and it's a mineral loose powder. I'm putting that on with a Real Techniques contour brush under the eyes and through the T-zone. I don't think this foundation needs to be powdered. I'm just putting powder where I have put concealer, as well as on my forehead, because it does tend to get a little oily. Contour. So don't come for me, but this is a ColourPop contour stick, and I say don't come for me because it's not high-end per se, but at the time it was the only non-drugstore cream highlighter I had, so that's why I used it. If I fast forward to today, I would have used my Fenty contour stick, but ColourPop it is. Like I said, it's affordable, but it's not drugstore, so here it is. And I'm deepening the cream contour by going over it with a powder contour, and that's the contour shade from the Smashbox contour palette that comes with a highlighter, bronzer, and contour shade. And I pretty much only use the contour shade. And I'm putting a little bit of that on my jawline just to connect to my chin, as I like to do. Here we go. This is maybe the single most expensive makeup item I've ever purchased. This is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate cream contour and highlight. I only really use the highlight because the contour shade is just a little too orange for me. It would probably work on a deeper skin tone, but on me, I just kind of skip it. But the highlight, oh my god. I love it because it doesn't disturb my foundation underneath, and it just gives that like wet look, shine that I just really love. And it doesn't really add color either, which I like. And a cheaper alternative, you can use the RMS Living Luminizer, but it's still not cheap. It's like $50, but that Tom Ford product is $100. But I'm only about halfway through my first one and I found another one on buns. Oh my god. So I traded someone for it who had never used it, so it was still new in the box. Okay. I flew through mascara there, but I used a Clinique mascara and a MAC mascara, and here I am showcasing another Tom Ford product. This is a lipstick. It was given to me as a gift, a birthday present, and I really appreciate it because it's incredibly expensive, and it is a really, really lovely lipstick. You're mostly paying for the packaging, of course, which is gorgeous. The shade is called Casablanca, and I like it. It's a nude for me, you know, like it's quite pink and rosy, but for me, I think it looks kind of neutral, which I like. So I like to smush it on my lips and then blend it in a bit with my fingers, and it's very comfortable. It is referred to as a matte lipstick, but I think it's more of like a cream or satin. And there it is. Even though it is creamy, it does last quite well. And yeah, that's pretty much the finished look. I'm gonna do some slow-mo hair tossing here, put my glasses back on so I see what's happening. There you go. This was actually more difficult for me in terms of putting all the products together, because I do tend to use like quite a combination of drugstore and high-end products, so it was hard to just only use high-end or only use drugstore. But pretty happy with this look. As I mentioned, it's an everyday glam, so it's an everyday makeup, but it's a little bit more done up, but not over the top. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.